What is it like to have 13 income streams as a creator? Today, we'll find out. Today, we're speaking to Sarah from the Sarah Funky YouTube channel where she shares New York travel tips as well as other travel videos. Sarah has a massive following of almost 200,000 subscribers on YouTube and has built 13 streams of income as a YouTuber, influencer, content creator, business owner, and also show host. We've already spoken to Sarah in a previous audio-only podcast episode in 2021 where we talk about how she went from having $300 in the bank to making $200K a year. So if you haven't already, definitely check that out. I'll also link it in the description. In this episode, we're getting an update on her current YouTube strategies, how she's leveling up her business by hiring a full-time employee, and also her current revenue streams in 2022 and 2023. Let's get into it. Dream your future, create it today. I have to say, Sarah, YouTube is so hard.
Yeah, I know.
I've just been filming
It's the hardest one.
And I was like, oh
but it's
my
the
God.
most fulfilling once you do
really?
it because you get so many opportunities from it. Like,
Okay.
I feel like you get more opportunities from this than you do any other social media platform.
I am trusting the process.
Listen, Vanessa Lau said it. Mr. Beast said it. Look at them. That's all I got to say. It's
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just been filming a few videos and I've been doing this in the car. I've
Yeah.
been doing it in people's studios, trying to do multi-camera stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then this camera dying, that camera dying. It is such a challenge. And I was driving to you and I was like, gosh, I have to complain to her how hard, like, just a few videos is. I haven't even gotten to editing them.
Yeah,
Oh.
listen, I know it's hard, but it all works out. It's like more energy, but more results.
Yes, but I'm just so impressed with what you do. Because I'm like, wow, you go out into New York City
Yeah.
to film no matter the weather. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously not when it's raining.
I mean, listen, sometimes you just
hot.
got to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it's cold.
Yes.
How do you deal with the physical difficulties of YouTube?
I think over the years, I've just gotten so used to it. Remember the first time that we worked together and you were like, oh my God, this is so exhausting.
Yeah.
We made a video about Instagram spots in New York. It took like an entire day to film.
Oh my goodness. By the
And-
end of the day, I was exhausted. I was
Yeah.
like, you do this all the time?
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
3
yeah.
times a week.
Yeah, it's very exhausting. You just, I've kind of streamlined things now. So I write a script in advance and I know exactly what scenes I need, what scenes I don't need, which is a key factor.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, you think, oh, I'll just film it in case. No,
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
not what you do with YouTube.
Can you tell us about what your planning process is like? And
Yeah.
do you use a particular platform to plan it, like Notion or something else?
So I do a little reverse engineering with SEO. So instead of just thinking about ideas that I think would be cool, I actually use Google Trends and a platform called TubeBuddy to literally research what people are searching keywords of about New York City. And then from there, I make videos about it. And so essentially it's research what people are searching. Then I'll put together a few different content ideas.
Yeah.
Then I will search them on TubeBuddy to see how they rate,
Yeah.
which is TubeBuddy is a great platform for YouTubers. You should have it.
Yes.
And then
I
I
just
do
paid for it.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Then I do a poll with my
Mhm.
audience and I give them the four top options that based off of trends and
Wow.
TubeBuddy. And then from there, they normally select whatever one wins. I'll make that one first.
Super smart. There's an entire process to this.
Yeah.
So then once you decide on the topic, how do you start scripting it out? Is it the hook first, or do you think of like what goes in the body first, or
So-
the title first?
The title is very important with
Yeah.
YouTube. If your title isn't catchy, no one's going to click on the video. That
Yeah.
goes with thumbnail too. Your
Yeah.
thumbnail has to be really good. Otherwise, they're not going to click on it. But I normally, first off, it's all about providing value with what my channel is about. Some channels are about storytelling, you know,
Yeah.
but mine's value. So I always think like, okay, what is the most important value points here? And what's the hook, right? So the hook has to be in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I'll have the hook, the value points, and then I'll try to create kind of like almost a storyline structure with it. So I very much like, there's literally a graph I have of storyline of, you know, the
intro.
like the the conflict,
Yes,
the
yes.
resolution.
Yes.
And so I try to incorporate that into videos too,
Wow.
in addition to like all the other things.
Yeah.
So
I
it's a
love that.
lot. With YouTube, it's a lot because it's long form content. So you have to keep them interested the whole time.
Yes.
And if they're not interested, then you don't get long retention rates. And
Yes,
if you don't get
yes.
long retention rates, then YouTube doesn't recommend your channel.
Yes. It
Yeah.
does sound pretty challenging, right?
Yeah.
Was it a huge learning curve relative to Instagram? But then was the growth also more significant?
Okay. Yes and yes.
Yeah.
So Instagram, people don't really get to know you like they know you on
Yes,
YouTube.
yes.
It's different.
Mm.
So from like, I've never been recognized in the street from Instagram. Let's just say that. But
And for some context, how many followers do you have on each platform?
okay, so on Instagram I have 80,000. On YouTube I have 180,000.
Yeah.
But even when we were going out filming, remember?
Oh, yeah, you had 20,000 at the time.
20,000.
I
And how
remember,
many
yeah.
times have people stopped me on the
Like
streets?
3-4 times in New York City.
Yeah. But like if you have 20,000 on Instagram, that's probably not going to happen, right?
Yeah, no way.
So that's what I mean. The difference is it's tremendous because you're going into people's lives. They're putting you on their TV.
Yeah.
And they feel like they know you, you know? And that's what's so cool about YouTube. You can make a connection. It's way harder than Instagram in my experience, although your Instagram, you take like 5 hours to make or more to make a single reel. So I'm like, that to me is so much work because I'm thinking, oh my God, it's only 15 seconds, but it's so impactful and so cool.
But then it doesn't last more than like 2-3 weeks.
Exactly.
In terms of reach. Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's a limitation.
So another great element of YouTube is that once you make that content, it continuously brings you views, continuously like reiterating your brand.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to make content as much.
Yeah.
So just, I mean, I do one video a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that works for me. But if I stop making videos, I still have people coming to my channel, and it's kind of like a trickle effect with tour sales and things like that.
Yes. So even it's not just the traffic. The traffic that is evergreen also brings in the revenue forever. So
yeah, which is nice
for a long time. In theory, until you have to continually post. And that was something we were just chatting about before we started recording, is the algorithm, where it's very difficult to keep up because even if you can have evergreen content and traffic, if your channel just completely dies off, that doesn't work either, right?
No.
Yeah, we have to be realistic here.
Yeah. My recommendation, because this year I haven't been able to post as much because I've had a lot of client work, which I feel very fortunate to have. But I also, want to have that creativity in my life to create my own work. If you don't post a lot, then you get off of the algorithm.
Yes.
Which is a struggle.
What does that mean? Like get off of the algorithm?
So with YouTube, it's like feeding this beast that just wants food forever. And if you stop posting on YouTube for a bit or you're inconsistent, then YouTube essentially stops recommending your channel because you have to understand how these platforms work. They're trying to get people to just keep watching videos so they can keep making ad revenue.
Yeah.
And so if you're not consistent with YouTube, you'll see that happen.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I've always tried to make content that's evergreen. So luckily, even though I've been inconsistent this entire year, my views, like my monthly views, have more or less stayed pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Even though I've posted probably 50% less because of the amount of client work.
Yeah.
But I'm getting back into it now. I just hired my first full-time employee to help me with this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just because I love YouTube. I love creating content and I want to get back to it and, give people the best of New York weekly again.
So what is a good frequency for people just starting out? And is that different to, let's say, when you have already a foundation established?
Yeah. I posted every single week for 6 months before I actually saw any growth on the channel.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to give you some realistic
Yes.
numbers. Of course, there's, anomalies, like this girl living out of a van who posted like
Yeah.
twice and her
Yes.
channel blew up to 8 million,
Millions, yes.
which a lot of people were like, what, is that real? Like, I don't know. If it's real, congratulations.
It was so explosive that even news outlets wrote about it.
Yeah.
About how she went so viral.
Right.
And I think essentially she hit like the right cultural trends at the right moment.
Yeah.
When people were watching and caring. So I maybe stroke a lot of luck and just being recommended, but having all the right elements together.
Exactly. Yeah, but I recommend just choose a frequency and stick with it. I personally recommend once a week. That's what most YouTubers do.
Yeah.
That I know. You could probably do like twice a month too. But it's consistency. I mean, that's the same with any social media.
Yes.
We know these are basics.
Yes, yes.
Consistency, yeah.
Yeah. But if you really think about it, for you to grow on other platforms like Instagram, TikTok, on TikTok, you probably want to post 2 or 3 times a day, every single day, for you to see real growth. For Instagram,
I'm like, I can't handle it.
For Instagram, you probably want to post once a day ideally, or maybe at least 4 times a week. That you can still see growth at that kind of frequency.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but YouTube once a week, technically,
It's
even though
way
it
more
is more work.
I mean, you could do daily. There's daily vloggers too, but I'm just recommending what is, I think, realistic for someone starting out.
Yes, yes.
Because editing is so much work.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever up the frequency to be more than once a week?
So actually, great question, Tina. Yes, we are working on doing it twice a week now.
Wow.
So our strategy with this, and we'll see how this goes, is one video is more simplistic and the other video is more elaborate. So it's something that requires us to go out and film for a whole day versus something that I can sit down and I can give you like 5 things you need to know about winter in New York or things like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, we're trying to do this balance right now.
Yeah.
I think it will work. It's just about like being realistic with my time, and also looking at the data is very important. That's what I'm doing very much now. Every single video I post, I look at that data and I make every change possible on future videos to constantly improve it. So I'm looking at the watch time. I'm looking at where do people tune out? Why did they tune out there? Why did they tune in here? Why are they suddenly more interested in this section? Oh, there was a big drop off in the beginning. Why is that? Yeah. You know, and looking at the structure of the video and trying to see how we can improve it every single video.
Yeah, so you can tweak it in your future videos, but also for your thumbnails and titles, you can still A/B test, right? Do you do that?
So I do A/B testing as well. I also have a thumbnail designer now, which was an investment I wanted to make for a while. You've got to think of it like a movie poster.
Yeah, poster.
Let me say that again.
You gotta think about it.
Yeah, I'm like, you gotta think of it like a movie poster. Yeah. Because if the image is not attracting them or intriguing them, then they're not gonna click on it. Same with the title. So it's like very much psychological. You just have to get them to click on it. And then the first 30 seconds have to be so engaging that they watch through. Because the other thing about YouTube is a view counts when you've watched 30 seconds or more.
Okay.
Okay, so that's like a huge change from TikTok. I believe TikTok's 2 seconds.
Yeah. It's around 2-3 seconds.
Same with Instagram. Yeah. So that's why you see these big numbers like, wow, I got 18,000 views in like 3 hours. Okay, well, on YouTube, it's not going to be like that. Yeah. So I wish that YouTube counted a view at 3 seconds. Well, my channel would look great.
Only if they still pay the same amount for AdSense, right?
Yeah, that's true. That would be amazing, actually. Yeah, that's probably why, because the AdSense is so much higher with YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you focus a lot on the searchability of your content. But what I've heard from some other creators, other YouTubers, is that the suggested actually gives you longer view duration. I'm wondering if that is similar to you. And do you see is it like 80% of your traffic from suggested, or is it more from search?
I get a lot from search. I also get a lot from suggested. For me, just the way my channel is, it's like people type in
What
best
to
restaurants
do.
in New York.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're searching these topics. That's
Yeah.
why I focus so much on SEO.
Yeah.
But since there's other creators that make videos similar to mine, being suggested on the sidebar can really help you.
Yes.
And that's where thumbnail and title really come into play, because there's so many videos that people have to choose from on the sidebar. How can yours stand out? I think a lot about colors.
Yeah.
You know, colors that pop.
Yes.
So I'll try to use, if you look at my recent thumbnails, we're really trying to use like bright colors that pop and also make catchy titles and like interesting keywords in the title, in the thumbnail. Yeah, it's a little bit of a mix, but I think for my channel, a lot comes from search. Yeah. There's a few videos that are suggested constantly that get like a crazy amount of views all the time and forever, because you make it once and it's there for at least, I mean, I have videos that I made 5 years ago that still bring me ad revenue.
Yeah, that's super interesting, because what I'm gathering is that if you are more value-based, let's say it's stuff that people are actively looking for, then it's better to really prioritize search and be good with your SEO. But perhaps if you're doing more vlogging, or if your stuff needs to be it's harder to be searched, then focus more on being on suggested and
absolutely.
other ways.
And I think for vlog style, you're going to be more on suggested. Although people definitely search vlogs occasionally. I notice this only because I see the keywords that people are typing in. A lot of people type in NYC vlog, which I'm like, personally, that's not something I would search.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that other people do search that.
That is interesting.
Yeah. And then if you're doing the vlogs, then it's very important to note that this is my strategy because what my channel's about.
Yes.
But if you want to be a vlogger, then you have to focus a lot on storyline.
Yes.
Because it's not going to be it's not providing value in the way that I do. It's providing value in an entertainment way.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. We always say, like, you want to provide value in one of the 4 ways, which is like entertainment, education, or inspiration. It could be visual inspiration, so really aesthetic, or like motivation.
Yeah.
So one of those 4. Of course, you can categorize it however you want, name it differently, but some sort of value is absolutely key. I think we all know that by now.
Yes.
And then I kind of wanted to ask you about the thumbnail designer.
Oh, yeah.
Is that different from your video editor?
Yeah.
Oh, so thumbnail specific.
Yeah, she's a thumbnail designer. I actually was recommended her by 2 of my very good friends that are super huge YouTubers. They're called Misias Pero Viajeras, and they do Spanish travel. They're like, have over 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
And their thumbnails, you'll notice, are so like, they look like a movie poster.
Yeah.
And they really make it like into a story.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. And so that's one of the recent changes on my channel in the last 2 months is hiring someone for thumbnail design specifically, just to kind of like make my channel look a little bit more polished.
Yeah. I love that there's like a thumbnail designer specific for YouTube, because you don't really have like, here's like an Instagram reel editor.
Yeah.
Right? You just have like short form video editor.
Well, it's because there's a specific look with thumbnail designs, just like there's a specific style that works with reels, and there's a specific style that works with TikTok. With thumbnail design, there's something to it.
Some
like
science
honestly,
to it.
Even YouTube talks about this. They say 50% of the image should be a face.
50%.
That's what they said. There's like data showing it that they recommend it. Yeah.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah, like 50% should be face because people resonate with other people.
Yeah.
And then the expression on your face says a lot.
Yes.
So you'll notice a lot of YouTubers have thumbnails like this.
Wow.
A lot of them. It's because if you have like no expression, that doesn't work for a lot of videos. Maybe it works for like, you won't believe this happened or something. But most topics, you need some type of like, or like, yay, or like something, some expression.
A bit of an extreme emotion.
Extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted.
But I do feel like you are almost like a natural to me.
Oh, wow. Well, it wasn't like that in the beginning. Those videos are deleted off the internet now.
Really?
Yeah.
Even when we first met, when you had like 20,000 followers, I was like, wow, she sounds like a news anchor woman.
Really?
Yeah, when you were talking to the camera.
Oh,
And I
thanks.
was like, damn, she's really good at this. I was like, I bet I would have to do this like 20 times.
No.
And you did it 2-3 times and you were good.
Yeah, well, it's practice, just like
Yeah.
anything. Like the first stuff you made probably
Sucked.
well, I don't know if it sucked, but it's definitely not the level you're at now, right? So it's just practice
Yeah.
over time and just keep putting yourself in that situation over and over again.
Yeah.
The first videos are so awkward, Tina. I literally filmed them with a GoPro. I didn't have a mic. I thought the GoPro's mic was like a good enough mic. No.
Oh, no.
And then that was the only angle all the time.
Yeah.
And I just filmed everything and I had no storyline or plan. And just the content was so confusing that everything's removed off the internet.
Oh, so it doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And so then from there, how did you start to upgrade? Was it more like you made an investment in the beginning or you saw some revenue and then you invested?
Okay, so we've talked about this on my podcast before where I like had no money in my bank account.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can go check out that episode if you want to hear Sarah's backstory.
Yes, the backstory. Where I almost failed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I took the $300 left in my bank account and I hired an editor to make 3 videos for me. And to this day, those videos still bring me revenue. So that was like a tremendous ROI.
Crazy.
And those videos have like one of them alone has over 1 million views.
Wow.
So yeah, it was it was a lot. I forgot the freaking original question.
Oh yeah, the question was I forgot too.
Okay, we're doing real good.
The question was, do you upgrade your gear as you go?
Oh, I just upgraded all my gear.
Mm.
Yeah. I need to buy a new drone still, but we just
Okay.
upgraded everything.
Yeah.
Yes, I upgrade my gear. Well, the last time I bought something was in 2018, and I just bought a new camera now. So
Yeah. Wow.
in 2018, I bought my first camera. I've been using
wow.
that camera ever since. So
Wow.
that camera was a high ROI camera.
Yes.
But it got to the point where it's like, okay, this camera's done for.
Yeah.
You know, that was a very new, like the best camera in 2018. So it was really expensive, especially for me at the time. I think it was $3,000. And I was
wow.
like that. I didn't even make that like in a year.
Yeah.
The first year of freaking
Yeah.
doing this. So yeah, I just bought all new equipment. You
So,
have to
yes.
compete
Right.
on YouTube at least.
Actually, you know how for Instagram, you can just use your phone and it's already really good quality. You can make really interesting reels and even
Yeah.
photos because it's more casual now. But
Yeah.
on YouTube, is that basically not possible? Like you do have to invest
I
in
mean,
better
listen,
gear?
there's people like Emma Chamberlain who her content style is very raw and real. And part of the reason why I think she exploded, she started her channel in 2020, I believe. So she tailors to an audience that likes that raw, real, just kind of whatever quality wise, which TikTok loves, which is ironic. Isn't that ironic? You don't necessarily need the best equipment in the world to make YouTube videos.
Yes.
However, if you want to get hired by large international or worldwide companies for all these really interesting opportunities, I've personally found that a lot of the jobs I got is because of the quality of my production and then also my on-camera presence.
Right.
So, you know, it's you have to choose the path that you want to take and what are your long-term goals for that.
Yeah.
For me, I started my channel with the goal in mind that I want to be a travel show host like Anthony Bourdain or something like that.
Yeah.
So I had that in my head the whole time and I'm like, that's my goal. That's what I want to do. So I, from the get-go, had like the second I could afford a videographer, I hired a videographer, and my quality of production was, to be honest with you, not to toot my own horn, but like at the end of 2018, you didn't see any quality of production like that on
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
It looked like movie by the end of it. And that got me so many jobs. That got me a job with Travel and Leisure. They got me jobs with Forbes.
Wow.
They got me jobs with like all these big companies. And then that created like this clout, as Cardi B calls it. That kind of helped skyrocket me for other jobs that I do today. So YouTube opened the doors for more than just YouTube.
That totally makes sense, because one thing about YouTube is that people are seeing that you're really great on camera, that you're great at hosting, and so then they would hire you for jobs that's not on your channel necessarily. Yeah. Can we talk about that? Hey, I hope you've been enjoying this conversation so far. If you have always wanted to become a creator and get paid to share about your passions on social media, then I have a free training for you. In this training, I cover the 4 steps to landing paid brand deals, even if you don't have a ton of followers. We talk about content strategy, growth strategies, and where you can find the higher paying brand deals, because we all want that. You can sign up at successfulinfluencer.com/training, and I'll link it in the description as well. Now, back to the conversation. You mentioned that this year you're doing a lot of brand work. So brand work basically is where you create the content for them, but specifically for what you do, it's like high quality travel videos. And then broken down into different purposes. They have vertical format, they have heroes for their website, and then they have YouTube videos, right? So how do you find those jobs, or do they just come to you?
So, it's a little bit of a mix, honestly. To be real with you, I've never pitched a client. They've always come to me, and that's always because of YouTube. 100% of the time. It's because they saw me on YouTube and they were like, I want a video like this for my brand. And then they hire me, and then it ends up being reoccurring work like every month. So this year I've been very lucky because I've gotten a lot of work like that, and I've gotten to work for some really cool companies. One of my favorites is Wander. It's like this new luxury vacation home rental company that is all over the US. So we get to travel to all these amazing locations and film these luxury house tours and then these travel guides in these amazing locations. And it's so cool to be able to do that. It's like a dream, you know? Like I just feel so thankful that this is where that ended so far, at least.
And how many of those videos are you doing for them this year?
So how many videos? Well, we did 13 properties this year. And it's like 2 or 3. Well, it's 3 videos at each property, but one is like a shorter form video. But yeah.
And so then the rates for these types of videos, are they a little bit lower than your YouTube channel videos because it's only production?
Yeah. So for those, there's a few different rates that go into that, because you can hire my production me as like a producer and not as a on-camera host. So that's one option. I've done that with clients where I'm just the producer and I'm, give the direction and help with the creative storyline or whatever. But I'm not on camera. And then there's the next level, which is you want me to produce it and you want me to host it. And so those are the elements that go into this one. And that's often what most people choose. I have done it without me, and that is cheaper because then I don't have to be on camera. But the rates are, for me at this time, the rates are slightly less than a YouTube sponsorship. But if I was a YouTuber that had, 1 million followers, then it would be significantly less than a YouTube sponsorship. So, yeah.
So how do you go about even thinking about YouTube rates? Because I think they're pretty different to Instagram.
They're way different.
You can demand higher rates relative to both views and follower count, subscriber count. But it's significantly more work.
It's so much work. It's so much work. So with YouTube, the rates are in general higher than Instagram because it is more work. And so the brands that hire you for YouTube, they already know this most of the time. Sometimes you have to educate them and you're like, what? Do you not realize how much work this is? But a YouTube rate, it's like tough. It definitely is about views. Like if you're not getting views, even if you have 1 million subscribers, if your channel's not getting views, then no one will pay your rates probably.
So I'm going to guess, is it kind of like, here's the production value of it, production cost, and then here's the cost for the viewership that you're going to get, like a mix of both. And then
Yeah.
from there, you get something that makes sense. Because even if your views are super low, the production value is still super high.
Exactly. So if they're buying licensing rights, then you can add more. Just like with Instagram, you know, how do you want this content? Do you want it just for my channel for promotion? Do you want copies of it for your use as well? And depending on, you know, what they want to use it for, that's how much you can charge.
Yeah.
I've charged 5 figures for a single YouTube video.
Yeah.
You know? So it just depends on what they're interested in. And it also with YouTube, it depends on, do they want a sponsored mention or do they want a dedicated video?
Yeah.
I personally don't like doing dedicated videos because I feel like they're an ad and people don't tune in.
I see.
So I will stray away from doing that unless the brand is a really good fit and I think it will provide value to my audience. But there's only been one time that I did a true dedicated video, and that was with a hotel group in the city because I was showing multiple hotels in the city, which fits my brand.
Yes.
So it wasn't like I was sitting here talking about tires for 15 minutes. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. So the mentions, are they like 30 seconds, a minute, or it varies, and then you can charge based on the length. And then the dedicated video is basically the entire time the concept of the video is surrounding this sponsor.
Not always.
Okay.
So, yes, for your first question, a dedicated mention can be anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute and a half. Normally, I try to stay 30 seconds to 60 seconds because otherwise people, that's just like, sometimes it feels too much like an ad, right?
Yeah.
I try to integrate the brand into a concept that I have already proven based on data is going to perform. Because I also want to make sure that the sponsor is happy with the end result and the viewer doesn't feel like they are just being taken advantage of. So it's like finding a balance that works. On the flip of that, I have done videos where I had to base the whole video around a sponsor, and I've found that it doesn't work. For me personally, like most of the time. There has been times when like it did work, but there's certain sponsors with YouTube that you get multiple times because a lot of the brands that invest in YouTube really have seen big results with YouTube because it's like this, Tina. With Instagram, they buy a sponsorship and then that content dies in 2 weeks. With YouTube, that sponsorship lives for 4 years.
Yes.
So they have constantly reoccurring revenue from that. So a lot of brands that invest in YouTube once do it again, and then you have frequent customers all the time.
Yes.
And you can integrate them into things really easily. For example, Storyblocks is one of those because they're awesome for B-roll of New York, and I can integrate them into like so many different videos. And they're really chill with the sponsorship and it gets results. So yeah, it's a little bit of that. It's a little mix.
Yeah. So then if you compare the different platforms, would you say it's easier to do an Instagram integration relative to the rates? And would you prefer to do that over YouTube? Or?
Currently, like I would, if my YouTube rates were way higher, then I would probably prefer that. But the weird thing is, lately, brands are willing to pay so much money for Instagram sponsorships.
Yeah.
And it's like 50% of what I would charge for a YouTube. And it doesn't even make sense to me. And like, I'll try to educate some brands sometimes. And I'm like, look,
YouTube will serve you better.
If you just pay this amount instead of this amount, you're going to get this ad living forever.
Yeah.
More or less. You know, but a lot of brands are nervous about YouTube because it costs a lot more money. But sometimes when you invest in yourself, you get results.
Yes.
Exactly. So that's the thing. Right now, especially because we're really focusing on building the channel right now, I would prefer to take a Instagram sponsorship because it's just way easier.
So that while you are building the YouTube, you still have like revenue on other platforms and so on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. It's just easier because Instagram, you can just take a picture or do like a 15-second reel and make a similar, it's not like this for all YouTubers, by the way, but I just noticed, especially during the holiday season, you know how brands increase their rates on Instagram.
Yes.
So it's just the rates are so high right now that it's like I'd rather just do an Instagram for slightly less than I will get for a YouTube video.
Yes, and spend less time.
And then I can actually focus. I could do 2 Instagram posts, and it's like much easier to do a brand integration there, and then I can really focus on creating a super cool YouTube video with a really interesting storyline, and I don't have to worry about integrating an ad in it.
Yeah.
Because that always messes with the storyline. So, and
then people have to skip forward, etc. It's always a bit of an awkward moment.
I mean, some ads work nicely, but other ads, it's like, okay, how are we gonna like do this? Like, how are we gonna integrate this so it doesn't mess with the storyline? You know, things like that.
Do you see a significant drop off in viewership when the ad comes up?
So I was looking at a recent video, and you see like a slight drop, or they'll just skip to the next chapter.
Right.
Because you can do chapters in YouTube now, which is nice because then people can just like, go to a topic that they want to see.
Okay, are chapters good for YouTubers or do they actually hurt your views? Because if the key is like view duration, but then they're skipping through the things and not watching it all.
That's a great question, Tina. I don't know the answer to that.
So I feel like people are experimenting with it. I see some people purposely not put chapters.
Oh, really?
After they had put chapters before. So I'm not sure what the strategy is.
What have you heard? What's the word on the street?
So it sounds like sometimes when there are chapters, people skip through, especially when it's more educational, because it's just points, right? It's not like a storyline where you have to follow the storyline to enjoy the video. So you skip to the value points. However, if they remove it altogether, my guess is perhaps maybe people don't even watch all the way through. So that might not be a plus.
That's a good point.
So what I have noticed is that people do it so that they tell you we have 3 tips, but they don't tell you what the tip is in the chapters. They say
you have to
tip
wait
1
for it.
No, they just label it tip 1, tip 2, or reason 1, or mistake number 3. And so instead of saying like the actual mistake itself, so that you can just hover and sort of preview and you kind of already know what to expect. So smart. Then you just know that, okay, there's a mistake, I need to watch it.
I'm going to try it.
So that's just based on my observation. But I don't have real data to back that up.
Listen, the only reason I was adding chapters is because TubeBuddy tells me it's the best practices. So they have like a checklist when you publish a video. It's like, have you added chapters? Have you added keywords? Have you blah, blah, blah? And so I just like go through the list. So I just assume that it helped. But next video, I'm not.
Yeah, we can test it, but
A/B test, very important.
I would trust TubeBuddy since they have a ton of data to go by, so I would trust whatever they say.
Yeah, who knows?
Oh, by the way, to celebrate the launch of my YouTube channel, I'm doing a massive giveaway. You can win this Insta360 camera, or this Canon vlogging camera, or a one-on-one consulting session with me. In order to enter, all you have to do is watch 1 or more of my YouTube videos and comment the code word down below in the comments. Each video has its own code word. You can enter max 1 time per video, but you can enter on every single video as the code word for each video is different. The code word for this video is level up. You do not need to subscribe to this channel in order to enter the giveaway, but if you enjoy what you're seeing, consider subscribing. Entries end January 31st, and the winners will be announced on Feb 1st. Good luck! So speaking of like brand income and all that, last time when we talked on the podcast, you shared your multiple income streams. And then before we hit record, you also said like, oh, I'm looking to reduce the number of income streams. How much was it before? And then what is sort of your goal with the income streams?
So, right now I counted recently and it was like 15 income streams, but about 50% of them are passive.
Oh, wow. 15.
I think it's like 15.
That's crazy.
Yeah. You want to see what they are?
Yeah.
What are they, Sarah? Let's let's see. Can I even look here? It's actually 13. I just counted.
Oh, okay. Let's break down Sarah's 13 income streams.
Yeah. Okay. Which I don't recommend anyone have 13, by the way, unless they're all passive. Ad revenue. This includes YouTube and my blog. That is passive. Affiliate sales, which is commission from any item I promote. This is also passive. Consulting, which is not passive, but I have a company that hires me to consult on social media. Ebook income. This is passive. So I sell like PDF guides, ebooks, neighborhood guides, itineraries to New York. Itinerary planning income. I own a tourism business here, and part of our tourism business is helping you plan the most amazing trip to New York ever. So I have a lovely woman who's the pro at this, and we work together. Like, I already give her tons of recommendations, but she knows New York arguably better than me.
Wow.
And so she is an expert at VIP concierge planning services.
Wow.
So it's anything like we have a lot of high-end clients that use that. Licensing income. This is when someone buys the rights to use my content. I don't know, miscellaneous income. That I have no idea what that is, but we're just gonna move on from that one. That was my bookkeeping team being like, I have no idea what this is, Sarah. So this is going in miscellaneous. On-camera hosting. That's whenever a brand hires me to be an on-camera host. Product sales. What's product? Oh yeah, I have product. That's a passive one. So I sell like little things, namely postcards. You can buy postcards and I could just write you a note and send you a postcard from New York. Sponsorship income. Everyone knows that one. Subscription income. This is a Patreon. Tour sales. I own a tourism company, so we do walking tours around New York. And then video production income, which is when brands hire me to produce a video for them.
Right. So that's the brand work that we talked about.
Yeah, that's one of the brand work category can be split because it can be on camera hosting too.
Yeah.
So sometimes those are on the same invoice. So that's an important detail. Sometimes we'll even have 3 items on the same invoice, like licensing, video production, and on-camera hosting.
So then you have to separate that, or your bookkeepers have to separate that when you file your taxes?
Well, we separate it just so we can keep track of what's bringing in the most money. That's all. That's why we do it. It's not necessary to separate it, but it's just like it's helpful to understand where your most profitable income streams are, so you can try to, focus more on that and less on.
Okay, so what are the top 3 income streams you have to focus on?
Sponsorship income is a huge one. Then on-camera hosting is a huge one, and video tour sales. It's like I have 4 because like 2 are tied. So essentially, the tourism company, video production, sponsorships, and on-camera hosting. But one thing to keep in mind is the video production and on-camera hosting are normally the same project.
Yeah.
So if you combine those together, they're really just like one, but sometimes it's separate. So that's why I say like there's really like 4.
So we can just call it video production.
Yeah,
then.
video production, sponsorships, and my tour company, I would say. Yeah.
So then if your goal, we can brainstorm this together. Like,
Yes.
if the goal is to increase the income of these 3 simultaneously, then doubling down on YouTube viewership would be the way to go.
I think so. Yeah, right?
And so then you want to cut out like the miscellaneous.
I don't know. I think the miscellaneous is like $5. They were like, I don't know what this is, Sarah. Literally, I think the miscellaneous was like under $100. Like it was like some rebate for something. So I would call it 12 income streams, but miscellaneous is something that we don't know.
Maybe cut out the products, right?
Honestly, products, I don't even do that really. That was mainly during the pandemic. I think we sold like a few this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely cut that. And
Patreon can be cut.
I cut it.
Yeah.
I did. I stopped it.
You stopped it.
I stopped it.
Oh,
so
wow.
that revenue stopped probably in June.
Yeah.
I just couldn't keep up with it. I felt it was unfair to my
Yes.
Patreons.
Yeah.
So I cut.
I see. I want to do a separate video about this, but I have found that Patreon has not been the best way to monetize for most people I have met.
Really?
And I think it's debatable because I know there are people making insane income with
Yeah.
Patreon, but I also stopped it because
Yeah.
relative to the amount of pressure to keep up with the
Yes.
monthly output,
Yes.
I was like, this is not enough money.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I felt so much pressure and it just wasn't a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I felt like I couldn't deliver what the people deserved.
Yes.
Like, we're so busy making content for
Yes.
the public
Yeah.
and making an additional content. I just
Yeah.
couldn't do it. So I
Yeah.
cut it.
So I remember you did an income report. Would
Yes.
you ever do that again? And if you want to check that out, it is on Sarah's channel.
It is. Yeah. I have thought about this a lot. And I feel like I don't want to do it again because it upsets some people and I don't want to upset people.
Oh, but it was very valuable for people, I bet, for the ones that loved it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's like 99% of people loved it and were positive and were
Yeah.
rooting for you too.
Yeah.
And then the 1% of those like people who felt threatened.
Yes.
left
It could
nasty
have been
comments.
that.
Yeah.
It could have been that. But I also, now I have a 2-year-old and I don't want to be a target for anyone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I just feel like it's a better choice to not give exact numbers, but give what's most profitable and how you also can be profitable.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting is I realized that people only do income reports up to a certain amount.
Yeah.
Because after that, it just upsets people.
It does.
And what I heard someone say, which is very interesting, is that when you have nothing, people are rooting for you.
Yes.
Because you already suck.
Yes.
Like they may as well just be like, oh, let me watch and see what's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
And then as you see some success to a certain level, people are still happy for you. But then when you go above a certain stratosphere, people are like, this is upsetting. Because this is just another regular person who is similar to me. But why are they making that much money?
Exactly.
So then they start to hate.
But the thing that they don't, it's easy to be upset when you see a quick number, but you have to understand, like, my story is not the only one. I went 3 years with making like almost no money. Well, I went 1 year making no money. The next year I total made $8,000. And then the next year, I can't remember. But the point of the story is, yes, now I'm successful. Now I can talk about that. But it was years. It was years of work. Yeah. And you're right. People root for you when you are not making money. But then once you start making money at a certain level, it does upset people. So I am not comfortable saying numbers anymore just because of various factors involving I don't want to upset people. And then I also it's like I have a kid and I live in New York City and people already know where I live. And I'm just, which, by the way, fun fact about YouTube, just be aware that anything you film, people are like zooming into like the backgrounds and they're like, crazy. Exactly what street could this possibly be? So yeah, like there's 3 people that moved into my apartment building because they saw my channel.
And you never told people what building it is?
No.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. So beware.
Oh my God, okay.
Beware. Yeah. And I'm not even like Casey Neistat, okay? So I'm just telling you, like, I'm telling you how it is.
That's a bit scary. Okay, yeah. Be careful with your privacy.
Right.
And
so I'm always paranoid now. I'm like, what if someone comes in and they somehow find my apartment number and then they, I don't know, pretend to be a seamless deliverer or something. Like, these are the thoughts that go through my mind. It's like crazy,
so
but
you do have to be careful.
Yeah.
One more thing you can do is just make sure you go online and check what's public info with your legal name and try to make sure that you don't have like deeds online because that's public info. So just making sure you don't have that just out there in the open. Or what you could do is, like, I don't know about you, but like for some people, their legal name is different to their on-screen name. Just at least the last name or the first name. So that helps to just sort of like eliminate that part
I feel like
of it.
I kind of ruined that one. It's a little late in the game for that one. But yeah, the other tips are good. Like if you have a newsletter, you have to legally, at least in the US,
put the business address.
Yeah, so I had to open a PO box because in the beginning I was nomadic, so then I put my parents' address, and then I started actually getting a lot of subscribers, and I was like, oh wait, like I didn't realize it showed on the bottom of the newsletter.
Yes.
And so that was years ago, but now I have a PO box because I'm like, I don't. And then the other thing is sometimes certain brands reach out to you and it's like, what if they're not really a brand?
Right. That is possible too. So definitely be careful
You have to
when
be
they ask
really
for your mailing
careful.
address. I generally don't really give it out anymore unless I verify, like, oh, this is a brand and this is coming from the brand domain email, etc.
Yes,
Or
definitely.
it's a legitimate PR company. It's not just like some rando. They claim to be a PR company, like, but they don't even have a website.
Exactly. Like you got to do a lot of research on this stuff.
Yeah.
Because people, most of the world is great, but some people are a little interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You know what we say in Chinese is like, we're not scared of like 10,000, but we're just scared of that one out of 10,000 chance of something bad happening.
Yes.
不怕一万，只怕万一. But yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Anywho, okay, so then without talking about specific numbers, would you say this year was a better year for you financially than the previous? Yeah. So it's always been this kind of trajectory for you, right?
Yeah.
As you continue to accumulate your influence, your revenue also sort of compounds.
Exactly. And if you are good to work with, then you're going to keep getting recurring clients. And that's really important here because if you're chasing new clients all the time, first off, that's exhausting.
Yeah.
And second, it's just a lot more work. Like, so if you just focus on really doing a great job with everyone you work with, then they're going to keep recommending you. And it's kind of just this domino effect that never ends. So that's kind of what's happened currently is I just keep getting recommended for more jobs. On this note, something our mutual friend Onika was talking about is like having people in the PR rooms that know who you are and will recommend you to brand deals. So at this point, I've been doing this full time since 2017. So a lot of the PR people that are in those rooms and they're selecting influencers, they already know me, they've worked with me. So I get offered a lot of sponsorship opportunities without having an agent.
Yeah.
Because I go to events, I network as much as I can, and I try to establish relationships. And relationships in the end, like, that's going to be chosen over a cold email every day.
Yeah, they go a long way. And especially mainly because they already know your level of work.
Yeah.
Plus, when they have communicated with you, they know you're going to respond on time.
Exactly.
You're not going to ghost them.
Yeah.
And if there's anything, you would keep them updated and you deliver on time. All those things are very important for these people to be able to do their job.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's important to be a reliable, trustworthy influencer and content creator.
It's so true because I've heard stories where a brand will reach out to influencers and they don't respond and then they miss the deal.
Yeah.
So you always try to respond within 48 hours.
Yeah.
At the absolute max to any deal and prioritize those things that not only are paid but also could lead to paid things. If Disney reaches out and they offer you tickets to a Broadway show, it might be worth going because you can meet some Disney reps. I've done that before just to get to know the people, even if it's not a paid thing.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, I want to work with that brand. And even though this isn't paid, like I'm going to go to that event and network with them because in the future, maybe we could do something together.
Yeah.
Because I think they're really fun and interesting.
So how often has that worked where a non-paid thing has turned into a paid deal?
A lot. A big part of my job as the founder of my company is networking.
Yeah.
Networking is so important, especially, listen, I live in New York City. This shit's crazy. Sorry. I live in New York City. It's so expensive here. I'm trying to make the most of my money. So when there is a freaking networking events going on, and when I say networking events, I mean any type of event where I know there's going to be someone from a higher up company at that event, I will go to that event and I will talk to as many people as I can, shake hands, get to know them, and then reach out to them after and come up with some idea that maybe we can work together or we
Yeah.
can grab coffee. And I'm still doing that now,
Yeah.
5 years later. So, that never ends.
Yeah.
That's why, you see all these CEOs and they're always going out to dinners with people because you're establishing relationships. Just like presidents go out to dinners with leaders of countries because you're establishing relationships. That never ends. And that leads to more deals than cold emailing. And if you're shy, listen, I also am a shy person. I know that maybe it's hard to believe, but socialization is...
It is hard to believe. But give us some tips. How to network.
Well, I even think about it. I have anxiety building. I'm just thinking about it. I get really nervous in networking environments.
Really?
But I've just forced myself into it so many times now that I just have to be just freaking get over it. It's fine. Just go. You just have to have one opening. And I'm having a pep talk in my head. I'm all right, Sarah, just one person, just get in with one person. And then it's going to be easy after that. Cause then you're going to meet the person they know. And then it just trickles down.
Yeah.
And so essentially I have a few opening lines. If I already know someone works for someone or someone that it's a company I want to work for, if they have name tags, then it's less awkward because you don't want to be hi person, I've been stalking you, but a lot of these events, they have some type of name tag. You'd be oh my gosh, you work for NYC Go. I'm Sarah and I'm a New York City content creator and I love whatever.
Yeah.
That's an opening line. Another one that's less obvious is you just... I love your dress. Where'd you get that? That one I use a lot.
I love that. I love that.
Because everyone likes to be complimented.
Yes. That's a great one. Everyone likes to be complimented.
Yeah.
So that's a great networking tip. Just go in and compliment people like crazy.
It starts the conversation. The hardest part is starting the conversation. And then once you start the conversation, it's just keeping it going.
Yes.
Keeping it going. And then you eventually get their contact information.
Okay, so then practically speaking, after you get that contact information, do you follow up the next day with an email?
Not always the next day because I'm very busy, but I follow up generally. I try to follow up within a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to follow up in a way that feels like I'm helping them out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll be we talked about this and... I'm actually creating a video on this topic, so I was thinking it could be really fun if we do some type of collaboration.
Yeah.
Because it can help you guys get more exposure on this thing.
Yeah.
You know? And that leads to other opportunities.
Yeah.
For example, I recently went to an event at Rockefeller Center for my tourism company. Because we work with them with the tours as an add-on ticket. And essentially I met several people that worked there. And one of the top people, there's no influencers that go to these things, by the way. So it's a great space to be in if you have an audience because you kind of have a different angle.
Yeah.
One of the top people reached out to me and they're we want you to run our influencer program at Rockefeller Center.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah. And we actually had multiple meetings about this, but in the end, I told them I just don't think I actually have the capacity to take that on right now.
But that's an incredible opportunity.
Yeah.
So how did you get invited to this event? Because it doesn't sound like an influencer event.
So this was through my tour company.
I see.
Yeah. But that, it's just meeting people and kind of keeping the relationship going.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And that it opens more doors than anything.
Because keep in mind, a lot of these PR people that are gatekeeping the deals, the ones that are deciding who gets the deal and who doesn't and how much budget they each get, these people will then move on to the next company.
Exactly.
Another PR company, or they will start their own.
Yep.
And then they're going to remember you because they worked with you, they had a great experience.
Yep.
Or if you were terrible and they blacklisted
will never recommend you again.
They will never work with you again.
Yeah, so be very careful about that too, because I've definitely been blacklisted once.
Hey, what you're watching right now is a video version of our podcast. Did you know that we also have an audio-only podcast? If you're on the go or you don't have YouTube Premium but still want to listen to the podcast, then head to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts to tune in. We also do audio exclusive weekly minisodes where I answer one question submitted by a listener like you in under 10 minutes. And if you love our audio podcast, we would love for you to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. All right, back to the conversation.
What most blacklisting involves is miscommunications.
Yeah.
Most of the time, unless you say something really offensive.
Yeah, that's right. Which you should never do. Duh.
No.
But there's usually always circumstances where like they aren't communicative enough and then you run out of time to do it.
Yes, that happens more often than anything.
And also, I think sometimes these companies forget that we have very busy schedules.
Mhm.
You can't just like on a whim be like, okay, well, can you post the week after? Can you post now?
Yeah.
Or like, can you film it and then give it to me in 2 days? And I'm like,
no.
I can't.
Yeah.
Depending on the concept, sometimes I can. And if it's a good client, I will definitely do it
Yeah.
as much as I can. But it's just they forget that. And then they think that you're difficult to work with. But I had a whole schedule, like all of the posts are planned. And if you push this post to the next week, then I have 3 sponsor posts in 1 week. And it looks really bad.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spam my followers like that.
There's this girl I follow. Every post is sponsored.
Oh, there's a lot of those.
Every post.
Is this somebody we know?
No.
Okay.
I did a campaign where she was a part of it, not in my content, but I've never seen anything like this. This girl's never posted a non-sponsored thing. And I'm like, I don't believe anything you say.
Yeah.
So rule of thumb, mix it up. Okay.
Yes.
It's like sponsorships are great, but you also need to post original content.
Yes. I think like 80-20 or 70-30 is a decent balance.
Yes.
Even 70-30 might be a bit much.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, YouTube integration is different because it's only a 30-second mention.
Right.
And it's very organic.
It's easier to hide in YouTube too.
So I would be very comfortable watching your channel if you had ads integrations on every single video. I would still be like, this is still a super valuable video.
Thank you, Tina. Sometimes when I have too many sponsored videos in a row, people will be like, I'm tired of all these sponsorships. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, okay, caught. All right. We're going to take a break. But yeah, no, it's like, it's much easier on YouTube.
Before I end it, I do want to talk about the niche thing because you were just talking about it. Mm-hmm. How important is it to have a niche on YouTube, especially when you're starting out?
Literally the most important detail of all of this is like, if you don't have a niche, no one's going to follow you.
Yeah.
Because it's not clear what you talk about.
Yes. And they want to follow for one thing. They don't want to like follow a channel and then have to watch like 10 different other things and they'll lose interest in all of those things.
And then you're not going to be, your videos aren't going to get views.
Yeah. Honestly, it's the same with any platform. But are there any downsides to having a niche? Or is there anything you might do differently with your niche?
Yes. Thank you for asking. Yes, there are downsides of having a niche because you're stuck in that niche. Yeah. You can't really change it. So choose your niche very wisely. This is a problem a lot of YouTubers experience later on. They just get tired of talking about their niche, but they try other things and their channel is all about their niche. So their audience only wants to hear about that specific thing.
So how can they overcome that over time? Have you seen anybody successfully switch?
I'm sure someone has, but it's not common, honestly. The thing is, if for you to successfully switch your niche, they have to be following you because they like you.
Yes.
Not because they like you so much that they don't care what you talk about. They're here for you.
Yes.
And to have that level of success is something that you only see with like huge YouTubers.
Yeah.
But even them, they're stuck in their niche, and maybe their niche isn't like a topic, maybe it's a style. For example, Casey Neistat, his style is vlogging.
Yes.
If he suddenly went to giving tips on like living in New York City and he just sat there and filmed like tip number 1, tip number 2, it's not going to get views. You see? So your niche isn't always a topic, it's a style.
Yeah.
And most people get stuck in that style, so just choose it very wisely.
Yes.
And also make sure that if you're choosing a niche, once you become successful in that niche, you can add on other categories, but you still have to have your true niche there. Otherwise, your channel won't get views.
Okay. So then, but the style thing, it
Yeah.
seems like people can talk about more topics if you have one consistent style. Is that right?
Yeah.
So then you can pick a
Because it's about
style,
you.
right? You can pick your style of storytelling or filmmaking or providing value, but then have it be across a couple different topics that relate to each other.
They could be, yeah. One of my friends is a YouTuber in the city, and she is kind of dealing with this same dilemma that I am.
Mm.
And she was like a vlogger. Well, she is a vlogger. She started her channel in New York, and then she moved out of New York, and she noticed that
Mm.
even though her style stayed the same, people were
Mm.
much more interested in her life in New York versus where her life was once she moved out of New York. So then she moved back to New York, literally to revitalize her channel, and now she's like kind of moving in between cities, New York and back, and New York and back, and she also feels stuck in
Wow.
the category. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And so you feel a little stuck because your
Yeah.
topics have always been value-driven topics about New York City
Yeah.
specifically, and they've
Correct.
gone viral, right?
Yeah.
So do you find, is that because like these people, like they just visit New York like once or twice and then that's it? Like they don't care about other places?
So that's kind of what I'm struggling with right now is like a lot of my channel are people that are visiting New York, and then they binge watch all my videos, and it's very helpful to them and everything's great. But then when they leave New York, they don't come back to the channel. And so right now we're trying this shift where we're doing 50% of the content being that evergreen New York stuff for tourists, and then we're trying to shift into like the other 50% is more interesting storytelling and things like that that are based in New York but could interest someone that isn't just visiting New York.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what we're attempting right now, just to kind of like add some creativity, because after 4 years of doing this, it can get a little tiring talking about the same things.
Yes.
But those same things always perform. So it's kind of like you're trying to balance, you know, Sarah Dietschy says it well. She says like do one for them, one for you.
Yes.
And that's kind of what we're working on right now.
I see. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally understand that struggle. I was fortunate in my page on Of Leather and Lace on Instagram, where I was originally very travel focused.
Yeah.
And I was not really sharing as much about me or anything else. But there was a period of time where I was waiting for my green card. So I was basically like stuck in the US, and I hadn't done much US travel before that. And I tried to pivot more into creative content, like being in New York City, and the method of the content itself versus like where the content is shot. And fortunately, people responded well to that.
That worked, yeah.
And then that paired with a lot of personal stories on my Instagram stories, because at that time Reels was not a thing.
Yeah.
So then when they watched the stories, they also got to know me.
Yeah.
And so then they stayed on the page. Even now, I don't post as much travel. Like if you look on my feed, like a lot of it is more like creative transitions. It's not travel anymore.
Yeah.
And in fact, my travel stuff does worse than before.
That's so
and the
interesting.
creative stuff does better.
So it's like it's interesting because I think people originally were attracted to your page because you're so good at photography and you were going to all these amazing places and it was very visually interesting. And then during the pandemic, you kind of shifted to providing value. So you almost like shifted into a niche that was more successful than your initial like page.
Well, I wouldn't say it's more successful, but it is just like it's easier to pivot from being creative to doing any topic you want versus like doing just travel.
Yeah.
So that's one fortunate thing. And so that's one thing I learned about this current channel is that I'm surrounding all of my topics around the creator economy and just about being an influencer and being a creator in general. So I won't include any travels in here. If I ever do, that would be a separate channel if I have any capacity left. And then also for all of the things here, the creator economy is continually evolving. Like you're interesting, but then in 2 years, it'll be even more interesting, and then we'll have more to talk about.
We'll see.
Yes,
crossing my fingers. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I have my own travel show, and then we can go back to this moment. I'm going to have my own travel show.
Yes,
and this will
you manifested
it. This will
it.
be like a time We'll go back in time in the next interview.
Yes,
That's what-
yes. You manifested it.
Yeah, we'll
so
see.
There you go. But, so that's the goal with this. So I'm trying to think about it in a longevity sense where I will continually have different people and topics to
Mhm.
talk about. And as long as it surrounds this whole group of people who are all interested in the creator economy.
That's genius. Love it.
I hope
There's
it
a lot of
works.
angles you can go with that, I think.
Subscribe and follow
Yeah,
this channel.
subscribe.
Hit the like button
Exactly. There
because
you
it
go.
matters for the algorithm.
It does. It really does matter. That and watch time.
Okay,
Yeah.
do it now. Last question.
Mhm.
What is the 5-year vision for the Sarah Funky brand?
So I really want to expand the tourism company so that it is kind of its own
Business.
thing.
Yeah.
It's its own business now, but I want it to be like a bigger business that lives on past me.
Mhm,
That's always what I envision.
Yeah.
I always am looking down the road whenever I do anything, like, okay, I'm making this piece of content today, but can this help another thing? I really want to grow the tourism company
Yeah.
into a bigger business. I've been saying this for like 2 years now. I really want to launch multi-day experiences that people can book.
Mm.
I honestly just have not had the time to do that. That's for the tourism company. And then for my own channel and my own, social
Yeah.
media.
Your personal brand.
Yeah, for my personal brand, I do want to be able to incorporate more lifestyle elements into things in a way that really engages people and interests people. So that's what we're trying to do now. I'd like to be able to have my own show on a larger platform,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, Netflix or something
Yeah.
more substantial
Yeah.
than just YouTube.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's my goal.
Wow. I love that. That's a huge goal.
Yeah.
You're putting it out there into the
Putting it out
universe
there,
and
make it
gonna
happen.
manifest it for you.
Please.
So where can people find you?
YouTube at Sarah Funky, and the link is right down here. And Instagram, Sarah Funky, TikTok, Sarah Funky, all the things. Or you can join a
Okay.
tour in New York, or have my team plan an amazing luxury vacation experience for you that is customized to your exact needs.
There you go. So if you're visiting New York, you definitely need to check out Sarah's channel and book a tour
Yes.
with her team and buy an itinerary because they're
Yes.
all going to be super
Just
helpful.
makes
for
your life
trip.
easier. That's all I try to do. Make your life easier.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Sarah about her multiple income streams and businesses. If you want to hear from another YouTuber who also has multiple businesses, then definitely check out this conversation that I had with Alex Costa. Alex is a successful YouTuber who has amassed over 7 million subscribers and followers across his multiple channels.